All right, so we're here talking with Anthony, who works at the Education Station's after-school program at the Lincoln Elementary School. And today we're going to talk about the differences between the different schools, the Lincoln versus the Horace Mann Elementary. So should probably get right into their questions. So first one, how long have you worked at Ed Stations?
I've been there just about 5 years.
All right. And during your 5 years there, what different age groups have you worked with?
I worked with, I think it was 4 years old to 12, so pre-K to 5th grade. Mostly kindergarten to 5th grade is the main program at the Lincoln Elementary School.
And those groups are broken up into what age groups?
They're broken up into 4 groups. It's kindergarten, and then a group of mostly first graders, some second graders, then a group of second graders, some third graders, and then a group of fourth graders and fifth graders.
So there are some grades that are like kindergarten is by itself, whereas first and second are mixed together. That's the same as the Horace Mann. Do you think, what's the reasoning behind keeping the kindergartners separate?
I think there's a big gap in like their mental abilities from like 5 or 6 to 6 or 7 from kindergarten to first grade. I think the younger kids have a lot harder time just understanding and figuring out like still what they're supposed to be doing. Like just like when they come into the room, like what they're supposed to do, like whether they're supposed to stay with the group or not. And like the first graders and the second graders know what they're supposed to be doing, and they're working a little bit more on like how they're supposed to be behaving.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's see. I'll just probably cut this section out. All right, so what different, all right, sorry, just kidding. Scratch that, cut that. What is your favorite age group to work with and why?
I would say probably like the third or the fourth graders, because they're a little bit more like they get it, they know what's going on, they can go to the bathroom by themselves, they're past the age that they're having accidents, and they're a little bit easier to have like an actual conversation with, talk to, whereas the younger kids are a little bit tough because it's sometimes hard to talk to them. If you talk to them and you tell them something, they might not always remember it.
Yeah.
And the older kids sometimes, like, I don't know, sometimes they're a little bit more rude, and like the 5th grade group is a little bit old for the program, especially at the Lincoln, where it's like it's a very strict program there, and there's a lot of rules set for really more so the kids that are in kindergarten to 2nd grade and not really the kids that are in 3rd to 5th grade. Mm-hmm. So they get really frustrated with some of the stuff, like they can't go places and do different stuff that they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Do you notice that the Lincoln is more strict than some of the other schools?
I would definitely say so, and I'd say that's a big reason because it's a bigger school. It's a lot bigger than the other schools.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more kids in the program, and a lot of the kids in the program might have a lot of different ed plans, more so than some of the other schools, because during the school day, different kids from around the town will go to the Lincoln instead of, say, the Horace Mann if they have an ed plan, because there's a lot more specialists and stuff during the day. But in the after-school program, it's same staff, basically same people, so they have to have it a little bit more strict.
And so do the specialists stay throughout the after-school program, or are they only there for the regular school hours?
They're only there for the regular school hours, so it leads to a lot of things. Like some groups, it'll just like no matter how big the group is, they can only go to the bathroom one at a time, even though it's like a 4 or 5 person bathroom, because there might be 3 or 4 kids in the group that like really they can't handle it. They cause a lot of problems, that throw stuff, hit people, all sorts of stuff when no one's looking.
So would you say that there's any issues with the staff or the number of staff members who are there in terms of the mentors and the group leaders? Do you think that there's an adequate amount of people that are working there so that you guys are able to adequately, do the day-to-day things with the kids?
I'd say for the most part, yes. Definitely at the beginning of the year, we were pretty understaffed. There was definitely not enough people to deal with the kids that were there. But I think right now, there's a lot more people, and the ratio for the kids is about like from 12 to 1 to 8 to 1, which is pretty good.
And that's the same ratio that it's supposed to be throughout all the elementary schools that are in the Ed Stations program, right?
Yeah, I think 12 to 1 is the highest.
Yeah.
Supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that all the schools stay strict to that? Because I know that we've noticed at the Horace Mann that sometimes that's often not the case, where you may have one group leader with one mentor to 28 kids, or one group leader with, say, 18, 19 kids, upwards of that area. Do you think that holds true at the other schools?
I think for me, I haven't really seen it over like 16 to 1, probably about the highest, but that can definitely get really, really tough if you have 2 or 3 or even 4 or 5 kids in your group that have an ed plan and a teacher walking around with them during the day, helping them to figure stuff out and just work through their day. If there's 1, 2 adults in the room in a group of 25, 26 kids, and 4 of them have very specific needs and problems that need to be dealt with, it's very hard to take care of a room full of kids when you're focusing on all the ones that have the issues.
So when there are kids that have the issues and have those specific needs, where you guys don't have the specialists there in the after-school program, does that throw you guys off? That must affect you guys. Like, does someone have to take up the role that the specialist would ordinarily take care of during the day, like the site coordinators or anything like that?
Well, I'd say there are a lot of people there that are equipped to deal with it. The site coordinator is usually the main person that's CPI certified, which is really just being able to handle the kids. If there's a problem, being able to put your hands on them, because that's a big issue too. Because if something goes wrong and you're not trained and certified to be able to put your hands on the kids, then you have to write up a whole report, and it's a big issue.
And speaking of being trained and certified, and those people on the staff, what is the name of the head of the Ed Stations program?
Dr. Josephson.
Dr. Josephson.
Heather Josephson.
You were saying that, she's got all sorts of different credentials in terms of being trained. You were talking earlier about the open circle that you guys were doing. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that, explain that a little bit?
Yeah, the open circle is a program that they paid for, and they trained all the site coordinators to be able to do at all the different schools, the Horace Mann, the Lincoln, Roosevelt, Winthrop, all those schools. And it's really, the kids all sit in a room in a circle, and it's just getting them all to talk, and it's talking about stuff that goes on during the day, maybe figuring out how to shake someone's hand, how to talk to someone and make sure you look at them when you're talking to them. And or even it might just be like talking about what you did on Thanksgiving. But the big thing is like each kid gets to talk, and everyone has to listen and let the kid finish talking. And so, like, a lot of the kids that have a hard time with maybe like a stutter, or they don't look at somebody when they're talking, or they can't talk in front of groups, it's really good. It really helps them.
So yeah, you would say that those kids who ordinarily are quieter and tend to stay to themselves in the day-to-day goings of the program, and when you guys do that open circle, that gives them a chance to kind of have their moment to shine, in so many words.
Yeah, I'd say, like, for example, if there's a group of kids arguing over what game they want to play, there might be a few kids that are a little bit more quiet, that might not voice their opinion as much, but when they're talking in that group, they set up an environment where the kids really feel like everybody really wants to hear what they have to say next, because everyone's quiet, everyone's listening when they're talking, so it is helpful for them to get their thoughts out and work on it, and it makes it a little bit easier for them.
That makes sense.
I think.
And have you noticed at the Lincoln particularly that doing those types of activities, open circles, has that made any sort of improvements within the groups? Like, have any of the kids shown, do they feel more confident to speak out after they do the open circle, just throughout the day, because they've had that experience through those activities?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that a lot of them get a lot better at, like, a lot of the shy kids get a lot better at speaking in front of groups, anxiety, stuff like that. It really helps with that. It seems to, at least. And they seem to do better as a group, just like walking in line, stuff like that. Group projects.
So one of the things that we also wanted to talk about was just some of the major differences between the Lincoln and the other schools. And one of the notable things are the facilities. And Anthony, you've worked at both the Horace Mann and the Lincoln. Can you maybe speak to the differences between the facilities at those two schools?
Well, I would say that the Horace Mann is definitely a lot smaller than the Lincoln. It's one of the smaller schools in Belrose. There's a cafeteria at the Horace Mann and no gym, where at the Lincoln there's a big cafeteria, probably about twice the size of the one at the Horace Mann, with a stage, and then there's a full gym, basketball court with 6 nets or 8 nets in it. A lot of equipment, a lot of toys. Just it seems to me like a lot more money goes into the Lincoln, maybe just because it's such a big school. There's so many kids going there.
Right. Do you think it has to do with the kids that are on the ed plans coming to the Lincoln too? Do you guys get any extra funding or anything like that based on those? You might not know the answer, but
yeah, I'm not really sure about that. I would think so though.
Yeah,
I guess, but they do. There's an OT room for the kids. Like, there's a girl that works in there that has cerebral palsy. Works in there with someone during the day. So, like, there's a lot of extra stuff in the school. There's 2 playgrounds where the Horace Mann has 1.
Yep. And in terms of what the staff have to do based on the different facilities, like at the Lincoln, you guys are faced with some different challenges than the Horace Mann. Like you were saying earlier, when kids need to leave to go get something out of their backpack or leave to go to the bathroom, they need to be sent with a mentor at the Lincoln. Is that different with the Horace Mann?
Yeah, it is, and where it's so much bigger of a school, I think at the same time too, like, the kids at the Horace Mann know where the cafeteria is, and they can, if they run down the hall 2 seconds later, they're at the other end of the school. So they know where they're going for the most part. And in the Lincoln, like, kids walk down to the gym every single day, and if you let the younger kids walk ahead of you, they might not know where they're going when they first step into the hallway. Still, so.
So I guess for a final question here, just having experience at both of these schools, would you say, do you have a preference to one or the other? Do you think that one or the other has a more smoothly operating staff, or the terms of the kids that are there, the teachers that are there? I mean, do you have any preferences, or just comparing and contrasting the two schools?
I'd say I like to work at the Horace Mann better than the Lincoln, because there's just it's a lot more by the book, because there are so many kids and so many kids with ed plans, where at the Horace Mann it's very easy for most of the people that work there to recognize not only like the parents, but the other people that are allowed to pick up the kids that walk in. Like, they might be like, oh, that's so-and-so's uncle, like, we know him. And like, it might be able to go to the parent and sit down and talk to them and be like, oh, like, so and so bumped his knee today. He's okay. It was no big deal. It gave him an ice pack.
Yeah.
Might be okay. But where there's so many people coming in and out, every little thing, whether it's a Band-Aid or an ice pack, or whether a kid just comes up to you and they're not hurt, but they just don't want to play a gym, you know,
Right.
and they